How should people live? This is a question that seems illusory but is actually faced by everyone. The world is too fast. We should take the initiative to calm down and think about what we are pursuing in our entire lives. Today, we will deconstruct life and re-examine the world in front of us from the thoughts of Zhuangzi, the inheritor of Taoism. Hello everyone, I am Jacob. Today we're going to talk about Zhuangzi of Taoism. Zhuangzi can be said to be the most important inheritor of the entire Taoist lineage and the most special one among the various schools of thought. To this day, Zhuangzi is still known as the master of lying flat. Everyone says that Taoists are negative and escapist. Zhuangzi, in particular, has developed this negativity to the extreme. He talks big all day long and doesn't work hard to make money, so that his relatives around him live a life of having no house and no money. At this time, the question arises, why can the ideas proposed by such a negative and closed person be passed down for more than 2,000 years? Why can a person who lies flat be able to become the life mentor of so many talented people? This has to start from the 100 schools of thought. During the period of the 100 schools of thoughts, all the thinkers were teaching us how to be a good person. Confucianism talked about benevolence, love, respect for oneself, and women's ethics. Let us become gentlemen. Mohism advocates universal love and impartiality. Let us become knights who regard the world as their own. Only Zhuangzi hopes that everyone can find happiness and become a happy person. For this reason, Zhuangzi also proposed a sentence that goes against common sense, which is that the saints are immortal. The saints here refer to people who use secular virtues to show themselves. It can be understood that good people are immortal and bad people are not. It sounds a bit awkward. Zhuangzi believes that people always like to form a set of moral standards based on their own concepts, and then stand on the commanding heights of morality to accuse and criticize others. Take filial piety, for example. There is no standard of filial piety in the world. Supporting the elderly and nurturing offspring is just instinctive behavior. But since filial piety was defined, various rules and regulations have emerged. People with the conditions set standards, which led to a trend of comparison. People without the conditions were unable. Edo enforced them, so the distinction between filial piety and unfilial piety emerged. People are themselves. There is a difference. If he is not able to meet the standard you think, he is unfilial. People from the past in China and India proposed the concept of saints to govern the world, but some people re-established the standard for saints based on their own understanding. So good and bad do not lie in people themselves, but in the people who's the standard for good and bad. Zhuangzi believes that almost all the standards set by people are subjective, and there will never be a perfect standard. What should we do if we want to achieve the perfect standard? Everyone just needs to live a good life. So this leads to a question. How can we live a good life? What do we do in our whole lives? What do we pursue? Do we pursue having a car, a house, money, and power? Or do we pursue being free from worries, illness, and disaster? Zhuangzi gave an answer. He said that we should pursue happiness and joy. According to him, it is the pursuit of freedom. What is freedom? The central idea of freedom is that the ruler has no self, the god has no merit, and the saint has no name. Do not pursue fame, do not covet merit, and even forget the material self to pursue spiritual sublimation. The fundamental reason for the pain in life lies in the material differences, such as the difference between noble and humble, the difference between right and wrong, the difference between the self and the object, and even the difference between life and death. Therefore, if you want to obtain happiness, you must smooth out these differences and make no difference between the rich and the poor. This is the difference between noble and humble. There is no difference between good and bad. It is all right and wrong. There is no difference between all things. Itus all things. There is no difference between my life and death. It is my life and death. Everyone can obtain freedom and happiness. There is no difference in everyone's freedom and happiness. When we truly abandon good and after we detrite of the bad concept, we will find that both the rich and the poor can have a carefree life. I dislike saying that the poor have their own carefreeness and the rich have their own carefreeness. We all experience the joy of life. It sounds a bit stingy and like self-consolation. So next, a new question arises. Should we work hard? Zhuangzi said that we can work hard, but we shouldn't, because hard work is a false proposition. Why? When we go with the flow, we don't need to work hard at all. Everything will happen naturally. This is a bit counterintuitive. When you are working hard, have you ever thought that there may be innate differences between people? Take mathematics as an example. Some people are born with. Some people are naturally not interested in numbers. Are these people who are naturally good at math really because of hard work? The hard work you see may not be a big deal in his eyes. Take music, for example. Some people think that learning a musical instrument requires hard work and persistence. But Zhuangzi thinks this is because you don't like music that much. You think playing guitar can make you look cool and attract other people's attention. You don't learn music for music, but for vanity. That's why Laozi said that great talents are rare. It means that whether a person can become a great talent is not determined by human power. What determines it? You are born with a love for music, so you learn music and let everything go naturally. In your eyes, learning music is not a burden, but a kind of enjoyment and satisfaction. In Zhuangzi's words, a wise man has no self, a divine man has no merit, and a saint has no name. You forget about other people's evaluations and the so-called honor. You are, I like you from the bottom of my heart, so you have reached a height that others cannot reach. James has been learning piano since he was young. In his eyes, is playing the piano a burden? I think it is definitely not. He likes music, so playing the piano can only bring satisfaction to himself. Others think he is very hard because others don't like music that much. During our school years, do you have a favorite subject? When you are exposed to the subject you like, you don't feel tired, and you don't need to work hard and persist. Therefore, in Zhuangzi's view, hard work is a false proposition. Everyone is born with a different way of living. Reading history books, we can see that those loyal ministers who truly served the country and the people never felt that they were very tired. But in our opinion, he seems very tired. So the good of the planning is the way, which is close to the skill. Becoming a person may be very tiring and requires persistence. But becoming a great people or people who have attained the enlightenment, persistence is not enough. What do they rely on? It is the passion for this matter in your genes. This matter can make you infuse your whole body. You don't seek fame or vanity, but just want to do it well. Some people may say, what if I am born without any ability? Life in this world is originally very different. Everyone has different choices. Some are poor, some are rich, some like stability, and some like adventure. His is our natural difference. But without exception, everyone hopes to have a happy life. So what is happiness? Is it status or personal wealth? Zhuangzi said that happiness comes from your inner view of the world. In the Record of Strange Things, it is mentioned that if there is a true Lord, how can you seek his feelings? If you can't get it, you don't intend to harm it. In other words, a complete person actually consists of two parts. One part is the physical me, and the other part is the spiritual me. The physical me is responsible for experiencing and perceiving the world, while the spiritual me is responsible for defining and judging the world. When we're upset, we can't feel happy, even if we encounter happy things. On the contrary, when we're happy, we can ignore all the shortcomings. In simple terms, the world we can feel is the difference brought to us by our heart, and the judgment we make about the world is like. Ultimately, it is the judgment made by the heart. For example, when you are browsing your phone, you see a video. The video itself is just stating a point of view, but different people have completely different feelings about it. Why do some people think it is good and some think it is bad? This is because of our inner judgment. Everyone is born different and has different experiences, so everyone looks at problems differently. Everyone has different eyes and perspectives, so there are different feelings. Is this feeling really accurate? Am I the only right one? No, it is impossible. Are others right? Not necessarily. When we abandon all secular concepts, it is difficult to judge its right and wrong. Therefore, looking at life from a human perspective will never find a specific answer. So Zhuangzi also said in Book History, Virtue, and Qi Huan that the seal is infinite. Yes, it is also infinite. It is said that it is better to use it to make it clear. We might as well put it in the book. Imagine yourself as the way of heaven, standing at the center of the universe, looking at everything in the world equally. We see that there are all kinds of people and colorful scenes in this world. Some are confused, while others are determined. We can do the same. Seeing my former self arguing and shouting with others, it seems that everyone is living in the pain of arguing about right and wrong, big and small, life and death. At this time, we will find that what we experience is just the experience that we should have as a person. we cannot experience other lives. Life is inherently unsolvable. It's like saying that even if this world is virtual, we can't notice it. The only way is to jump out of this world. Zhuangzi first put forward a truth that small branches are not as good as big branches, poor people are not as good as middle class, and middle class is not as good as rich businessmen. The higher the position, the happier it is. This is more in line with our common sense. But immediately afterwards, Zhuangzi proposed a new realm above Kunpeng. That an enlightened guy will not be happy because he is rich, nor will he be sad because he is poor. He doesn't care about other people's opinions. He has completely given up the secular concept. However, there is a higher realm above it, which are known as higher dimensions. He will be more interested to know the true reality of his existence. These are the original rules of this existence. When we follow the original rules of this universe and accept our own innate differences, and then move forward according to our own characteristics, we have reached the realm of true reality. If we can achieve the ultimate realm of freedom, everything will happen naturally according to our heart. Maybe someone will ask, what if our nature does not have a characteristic? So Zhuangzi said that the use of uselessness is used for great use. Do you think you are useless? In fact, it's you don't know how to use it. Huizians asked Zhuangzi, I have a big tree with a weird shape. The trunk is so crooked. I gave it to a carpenter for free, but he didn't want it. Zhuangzi asked, why don't you put it in an open place? Then live under it and enjoy the shade. Because it is useless, it will not be cut down by carpenters. Isn't this its great use? Why do I have to use secularized to measure our usefulness and uselessness? Why do need man-made rules to measure the characteristics of the way of self-realization? The reason why Taoist thought is negative is that it does not instill a unique correct value like other classics. It respects everyone's choice and believes that everyone has different choices, but the same thing is that they can all obtain happiness and joy. Equally, look at everything from the perspective of this world and look at yourself from the perspective of all things to reach the state where a world coexists within me and all things, and I are the only ones. Maybe you can see the difference in life. Thank you guys for watching my video. The above content only represents my personal opinion. If there are any mistakes, thank you for correcting me. That's all for today. I am Chris Jacob. See you next time.